Hello, welcome to another episode of Gardenside Chats with me, Carrie. Welcome to my garden. Now, a lot to see in this frame, I guess, but it's fall. And today in our workshop, we're going to talk about planting garlic, which is maybe everybody's favorite fall gardening task. Garlic is one of the few things that you plant in the fall because it needs to spend all fall, all winter, and all early spring establishing its roots underground. So if we were to plant it in spring, plants put a lot of energy into leaf and stem growth in the spring with the lengthening of the daylight. But in the wintertime, a lot of focus is on the roots. And so garlic needs to establish a really good root system over the wintertime, which is why you plant it in the fall. Then it lives all winter, all spring, and good chunk into summertime, and we'll harvest it early July. So it's a long-lived plant. So today we're going to talk about how to prepare your garden bed for garlic, how to plant garlic, and just some things to be aware of when growing garlic in your garden over the winter time. Alrighty, so let's get going. I'm going to move the camera down so you can see where I'm going to be working. Okay, so a little bit of history about this garden bed. Okay, so I didn't grow... Okay, here we go. Can you see me? I didn't grow any vegetables here this year, but I did grow cowpeas and I did grow millet. I grew them together as a cover crop, and when they were at a good time to kill them, I smothered them by just I use a lot of bags of leaves in my garden, so I just threw a whole bunch of bags of leaves on them, which blocked their access to sunlight, which effectively killed them. So it looks kind of messy. There's these are the stems of the cowpeas, which are a nitrogen fixer. They kind of look like soybeans. Actually, I was fiddling with one earlier. So these are the cowpeas, some of the fruits from them. Nitrogen fixer, which is a good thing for a vegetable garden. The millet is a grass. And they're good plants to plant together as cover crops because the millet grows really close together and it suppresses weeds, whereas the cowpeas need to grow a little farther apart as a broadleaf plant, but they fix nitrogen. So theoretically, my garden bed has more nitrogen in it now after killing the cowpeas than it did before I planted the cowpeas. And I'm hoping that has a positive impact on my garlic for next year. We'll see. But because you plant cloves of garlic, I'm not personally too concerned about having what's called a very fine seed bed. I don't mind that there's stuff on top of the garden bed. In fact, I'm going to cover it with leaves when I'm done planting with garlic, so it doesn't matter. And the millet and the cowpeas will just continue to break down over the wintertime, and that will feed the microorganisms that live in the soil, that release exudates that the plant roots can take up and make happy, healthy, big bulbs of garlic. So I just wanted to pre-tell you that for me, this level of debris, which actually I don't feel like it looks as covered in real life as it does on the camera, so is okay with me. And I'm actually going to do a little bit more bed preparation for my garlic. So let's get to it. I have permanent beds in my garden, so I don't till, or I haven't at least tilled anything in my garden yet. So that's why instead of tilling the cover crops in to kill them that way, I just smothered them. So I killed them without tilling. So now what I'm going to do is add a little bit of compost, which is a good fall activity as well. There's no instant gratification in gardening, so adding compost or manure in the fall is a great time to add it because it spends all fall, all winter kind of breaking down and percolating into the soil. And it is quickly usable in the spring because it's spent months kind of like settling in. And I have cats everywhere, sorry. So I'm going to shovel some compost out of this wheelbarrow first. So this is compost from my garden, and it's just pretty well broken down. And I'm just going to, a little goes a long way. You know, I'm just kind of feeding the microorganisms that live in my garden soil. So I don't need like to apply inches, or I personally don't feel the need to apply inches. So I'm just going to kind of sprinkle it on. And I think my goal is to use like 1 wheelbarrow's worth of compost for my whole 30-inch wide by 20-foot long garden bed. So because I'm just going to demonstrate this, I'm only going to compost, you know, maybe a quarter of the bed. Okay, so now you can see, let me see if I can bring it down a little bit. Now you can see that I've covered just like the stems of the cowpeas and the millet and some leaves that have already fallen with the compost. I also have, let's see. I just noticed I didn't clip on my microphone, so hopefully you could hear me. I also have this overwinter organic kind of micronutrient fertilizer that I'm going to apply. This is from a company called Midwest BioAg. They're based in Wisconsin. Unfortunately, it's not a product that's very easily accessible because of shipping to Missouri, but you can go to their website and see what products you can access if you want to pay for them. We use it for our Garden Pro garden installations and in Opportunity Gardens. This is the fertilizer that all of our garden participants get. It's a 3-parter, and the first part is Veggies Plus, which is what this is. We apply this anytime we install a new garden and then every fall. So a lot like the compost, it's applied in the fall and is a source of like trace minerals, but it takes some time to like settle into the soil and become available in a plant in a form that plants can take up. So I'm going to spend my winter time, you know, getting this fertilizer, you know, into a form that my plants can take up by applying it now, so that in the spring when they pop out of the ground, they are, you know, all good to go. So just like the compost, a little goes a long way. So I'm just going to just kind of sprinkle it. Okay. I'm never going to use it all because I'm not going to do the whole bed. So can you see? Let me zoom in. So got the compost, and then you see these little like bluish gray pellets are the fertilizer. I hope you can see that. Okay. And boom, right? Boom. Okay. So now what I often love to do is take my potato fork, not a pitchfork, it's a potato fork. It's for digging. And then I'm just going to loosen the soil a little bit. I'm not going to turn it. I'm just going to, can you see that? I hope you can see that. I'm just going to stick it in vertically, kind of rock it back and forth to just add some air into the soil, work some of that fertilizer and that compost into the soil, maybe even some of that like, you know, organic matter from the cowpeas and millet. And then in doing this, it kind of fluffs the whole bed up so it becomes more visible. And it also, this is something I haven't totally figured out in my garden, but it kind of makes like clods, and I haven't totally perfected what I do after I potato fork to loosen up my garden bed, but to get rid of the clods. So I'll kind of show you if you can't tell by the view you've got. But I think for garlic, it's such a big, like, essentially seed that we're planting. Some clods are okay, especially since it's fall and we're going to be, you know, experiencing winter, which is going to freeze and thaw multiple times, and it'll break up and loosen up the soil and just that heaving action of the freezing and thawing. So I'm not going to do the whole bed. I'm just going to do a little section and then just plant a few bulbs of garlic. But this is good. I've worked a lot of the fertilizer in, the compost in, and in doing so I brought a lot of the like the plant matter is a little more visible now, which again I'm okay with. It's a little messier looking, but I think it's better for the soil. There's more things for the things that live in the soil to eat. Okay. Hopefully that. Okay, so now what do you see? So I'm going to bring you back. And so, I don't know how to do. So that, maybe I should back you up. So that's kind of like what I'm going for. It's pretty loose. Like I can stick my hand fairly easy up to the palm in it. I still got these kind of clods, but I can break them up. Let's see. Okay, so my little demonstration plot for my garlic is pretty much ready. Alrighty, so, and I'll just plant them around these dead cowpeas, and the cowpeas and millet debris will be gone by spring, so it's like you won't even see them. Okay, so now that we got our beds, or our bed, maybe in your case beds, prepped, I'm gonna get my garlic out. Let's see, I got two different types of garlic. So this is California white. It's a, normal looking garlic. And then, I've only got one clove of it. I don't have a whole bulb. But then I have elephant garlic, which is much larger, more closely related to leeks. I'll show you the size difference when I pop out the cloves of this one. So this is a whole bulb. This is just one clove of the elephant garlic. So it's a sizable plant. It's fun. Okay, so when you plant garlic, you plant a clove of garlic, and each clove turns into a bulb of garlic. So you plant it in late October here in Missouri, and then you'll harvest it once the bottom 3 or 4 leaves turn yellow and then brown, and then they turn crispy. That's when you know to harvest it. Normally, that is late June, early July of the following season. So it's in the ground for 8 or 9 months. So it's a long-lived plant. So what you do to plant garlic is you take your seed garlic clove. So I did not buy this at a grocery store. I bought this online, and it's certified seed garlic. You can maybe buy garlic still online. You can try to go to Wilson's Garden Center, try to go to Helmy's Garden Center, and they might have seed garlic. But you want to plant seed garlic because it is guaranteed to grow true to the type of plant you're trying to grow, and also it's more likely to germinate. Sometimes garlic in a grocery store or something is treated so it doesn't sprout and so it stays longer. But in the case of growing garlic, you want it to sprout. So make sure you have seed garlic is the whole point of that tale. Okay, so I'm just kind of gingerly trying to get that first clove free, and then once it loosens up, it's easier. Okay, so you want to keep the paper that kind of surrounds the clove on the clove. That will protect the clove. So I just popped one off. I'm just going to set it to the side, and then I'm going to continue kind of popping off the cloves that I'm going to plant. Normally, you want to pop the cloves and then plant them right away. Because if you pop the bulb of garlic apart, the cloves are being smaller and having a different surface area to mass ratio. They can dry out faster, and you don't want them to dry out. So I'm just going to pull some apart, keeping that skin on them. Try not to pull any of that skin off. Try not to nick them or be too intense to bruise them. I don't want to do any of that. Okay, so from that whole bulb, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 cloves. That one bulb will create 13 bulbs of garlic. Pretty nice. So to bring it back though real quick to the elephant garlic. So here's elephant garlic, 1 clove of elephant garlic. And here's one of the larger cloves of California white garlic. So pretty, and this plant, everything about this plant is bigger than the normal garlic. So it's kind of I think it's a fun plant to grow. Less common though. So you might not be able to find it here in Columbia right now if you haven't already purchased your seed garlic. All right, so now that you've got your garlic, you know, split apart and ready, the seeds ready to plant, let's get to planting them. Okay, so I'm going to move the camera. Give me a second. Okay, so gosh, can you see? Okay, so this is a 30-inch wide bed. So I'm going to plant 3 rows of garlic. Each garlic clove is going to be planted in a hole that is as deep as like my finger is to the middle knuckle, so a couple inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start and pop and make one hole. Can you see that? One hole down to my middle knuckle. Boom. I'm going to take one of my cloves of garlic, and now this is very important. I'm going to move the camera. Pardon me. There's a right way and a wrong way to orient garlic in the ground. So garlic is kind of tear-shaped. It's got a flatter side on the bottom here, and it's got a little tiny point at the top. So the flatter side is where the roots come from. So you want to make very certain to plant the flatter side down. And the little pointy part is where the green stem and leaves come from. So you want to make sure to plant that upright. So I'm just going to stick this, boom, like that in the ground. So I'm going to bring it back down. So here's my hole. Here's my hole. I'm just going to put that clove of garlic in the hole. Now you can barely still see it. And I'm going to leave that for right now because I want to be able to see it so I know where to plant my next, cloves of garlic. At the very end, we'll cover it all and it'll be fine. But while you're planting the garlic, you want to leave it uncovered so that you can see, like if you cover it up, you can't see where the last one was, and then you get all lost, and then it's planted too close or way too far apart, and the whole thing's a mess. So for good spacing, you want to keep it uncovered until you're done. So then, very scientifically, then I do a cowabunga. So for me, that is like 5 or 6 inches. So I'm going to put my thumb right over where the first clove of garlic was, and then where my pinky is, you can't really see it, where my pinky is going to be where my next hole goes. And so then I put my finger in, down to the middle knuckle, kind of wiggle it around, get another clove of garlic, make sure I plant the flat side down and the pointy side up. Boop. Goes right in the hole. I don't cover it. Do another cowabunga where my pinky finger is. I'm going to make another hole down to my middle knuckle, kind of wiggle it around. Get my next clove of garlic, put it flat side down, pointy side up, but don't cover it. So before I keep moving on, I'm going to then do my second. So you wanted it to be about, so I'm just going to do it like right down in the middle of my garden. So then I'm just going to do it on like a grid. So I'm going to do, hi kitty, hi, this is bad timing. Then I'm going to do just like a straight grid. So I got one right here. So I'm going to plant one just right across, middle, make a hole to my middle knuckle, put garlic clove in, flat side down, pointy side up. There we go. Now that I have my first row planted, I don't really have to do the cowabungas anymore because I'm just lining them up. Kitty, come on now. I'm going to put this one in, and then I've got another one. So this is unfortunate. This is my favorite cat, and she never comes around. But right now, she's choosing a very opportune time. Oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. Go away, go away, go away. Okay, so I've got 6 garlic cloves planted, and I want to do 3 rows in my garden, so I'm just going to finish the next row. And again, I've already got them all lined up, so I'm just going to make one hole down to my middle knuckle, next hole to my middle knuckle, and then my third and final hole to my middle knuckle. And then I'm just going to plant all these right in once. And then I'm going to try to show you them, and hopefully you can see that they're all planted, but not covered. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to move this tripod. Sorry, bear with me. Okay. So, move kitty. So hopefully you can see that I've got, I don't know if you can, oh gosh. Okay, pardon me. So hopefully you can see that I have cloves of garlic planted, but not covered. So I have 9 cloves of garlic planted. I'm going to do this whole bed, but I, for the demonstrations of this workshop, I'm only going to do, 9 because I think you get it. It's just a pretty simple process. Sorry about moving the camera so much. So now that I've got my 9 planted, all flat side down, pointy side up, I can still barely see the tops of all of them. Now I'm going to take the soil that's in my garden, and there's any clods, like I said earlier, if you were on earlier and I was like preparing the bed, I said that I haven't figured out a good way to break up the clods efficiently yet. So what I do in like a situation like this is I take the clods and then I break them up over the garlic, and now I'm covering the garlic, so now I can't see where it's planted anymore. I'm going to cover up all 9 of them. Okay, like so. And now I can't see where they are really at all, but I have faith that I planted them far enough apart in good even rows. And now I'm just going to kind of pat the soil down like this. You want what's called good seed to soil contact. You want all of the soil to be touching the seed, but not like compacted and squished around the seed. You just want the seed to be touching soil, because roots don't like to grow in air. They like to grow in soil. Some roots like to grow in water, but they won't grow very well if there's air pockets everywhere. So that's why you kind of always pat things down. Seed garlic is a type of seed, so that's why I'm patting it down. Alrighty, so pat it down. Perfect. And actually, since I'm going to pick this up tomorrow, this is probably not a very good marker, but I'm going to put this little cowpea stick there so I know where to start tomorrow. And now is for the mulching. So we want to make sure to mulch the garlic, because if it is a mild winter and the greens do start sprouting in late winter, we want to keep them warm with the mulch. And if you've watched any of these, you are probably familiar that I use leaves as my mulch of choice. At the Veterans Urban Farm and the Agriculture Park, we use straw because it's more readily available on a larger scale. Both of them would work. If you use straw, you just want to make sure it is, I guess you could be looking at me when I'm talking. Sorry. You just want to make sure it's herbicide free or not sprayed with herbicides. That's an important consideration. But anyway, let's get going on mulching. So I got a pile of leaves. I've kind of got this like windrow of leaves you might see behind me. So I just kind of pull it over. And now I'm just going to cover the bed with leaves. And voila, done. You don't really have to water it. If you're in Columbia, you are well aware that it's been very moist the last week or so. Don't need to water it. I won't plan or need to water it over the winter. The soil holds moisture a lot longer. Plants aren't growing as fast, so you don't want the roots to rot if there's too much water. So it's easy. You don't have to water it. You do probably need to water it next spring and summer, but for right now, you don't really have to worry about it. Garlic. Planting elephant garlic is the same premise as planting, normal soft or hardneck garlic. It's just everything, spacing is twice as wide, so 2 cowabungas. You just plant it just so you can see the tip pointing out. So I would plant it like pretty much my whole finger. And it's a fun plant. It's just like, it's kind of like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory type plants. It's really large. Maybe next spring I'll show you what it looks like through these garden workshops. Okay, garlic's pretty easy, pretty fun plant to grow in your garden. It's also pretty expensive at the grocery store, so it's a good thing to grow yourself. Garlic is also a very easy thing to save the seed for. So you can buy garlic seed 1 year, grow a whole bunch of garlic, save a handful of cloves back, and then plant those cloves next year, so that you buy the seed 1 year, And then from then on, you use your harvest to replant the next season's garlic. So you do save a lot of money in the long run. Well, thanks for joining me. If you have any questions about gardening, about planting garlic, about caring for garlic, or anything else timely in the vegetable gardening world, please let us know via Facebook, email, call us. We'd love to continue the conversation with you. Happy Halloween. Bye.